from the Fox 5 studios. This is Silver State Sports Live.
It's a big week. We got 16 NFL games to overreact to, and you know me, I love some overreaction. So this feels like the perfect place to do it. Welcome into Silver State Sports Live. I'm Mike Davis.
And I'm Mariah. Janos. Yes, just 2 more sleeps till we get to see the Raiders in action for the first time as they gear up for their first preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals. But fans will also get a sneak preview tonight as well. Raider Nation getting its first look at the silver and black inside Allegiant Stadium today. The Raiders opening the doors for their annual open practice, giving fans a chance to see the team up close on the game field as training camp rolls on. All eyes on the quarterbacks and the new look roster with the preseason opener now just days away. And while it may only be practice, we put the Raiders inside Allegiant with fans in the stands, and it never really feels like one. We just talked about the intensity and the aggression that sets in once these guys put on the pads over the weekend. No chance they're dialing it back tonight in the Death Star. Here was Clint Kubiak on that just minutes ago.
It's professional football, so like every practice and every preseason game and every stadium practice, they should all feel really big. This is these guys' jobs. This is our jobs as coaches, and you should have those butterfly feelings. And if you don't, sometimes to me, it means you're not ready. If you're not nervous about it, if you don't have a little anxiety, it probably doesn't mean as much to you. So I think that's a good thing to have those feelings.
All right, and Fox 5 and Silver State Sports Director Kevin Bollinger sat down with this guy right here, Raiders GM John Spytek, earlier today. Here's their conversation.
Training camp. When you go out and watch things, where do your eyes go towards? What is your kind of focus as you're watching things?
Really the whole team for me. We got a lot of new players, free agents, rookies, quarterbacks. So I think my job is to, globally look at the team every day.
The fan focus, a lot of it is on the quarterbacks
because
of
course.
Fernando Mendoza and a veteran and Kirk Cousins coming in. What do you like about bringing those two together that's going to help both of them succeed for the Silver and Black?
I think selfless people, competition, and a high level of love for football. Obviously Kirk's a many times over veteran now, and there's a lot that Fernando and Aiden can learn from a guy like Kirk. And at the same time, I think, Kirk enjoys being around those guys and seeing their young spirit and how great that they both want to be. And, I'm excited about the rapport in that room, the way that they operate, the respect they have for each other, and the job that they're trying to solidify in this roster.
As you went through the draft process and you were talking to Fernando Mendoza, what have you seen from that point that's translated to what you've seen with him being in the buildings for the OTAs and now in training camp?
High love for football, tireless worker, very intentional with the way he goes about his day, selfless about the teammates, and just an appetite to learn every day. There's very little ego with him. And that's the kind of player we're looking for. We're looking for a roster full of people that it's not about themselves and their ego.
When you reconstructed this roster, the focus was not only getting really good players, but getting really good people. Why was that so important to get that combination as you guys kind of rebuild the culture here with the Raiders?
I think your character is your fate. And we want people that want to be Raiders. This has got to mean something. This is a special place, a special organization, a special city. And the great teams I've been a part of, they're locker room led, and those guys in that locker room are about the right things, which is team first, not about your individual stats or your contract or your successes, but really the team successes. And that requires quality people that are selfless, that will sacrifice for the team. That's why this is such a great sport. It's what it requires every day.
The Max Crosby situation was messy, for lack of a better word, not because of anything you guys did in the organization part. How has that been since he's been back in the building, and can this marriage kind of move forward without any implications from what happened from the trade?
Yeah, it's business as usual. He's out here making plays and he's on the grass, and we can't control a lot of things in this business, and the past really doesn't matter at this point. Nothing that happened yesterday, 2 years ago, 6 months ago is really relevant to us right now. So we're just all about the team and putting a great product on the field and winning football games.
Do you foresee any chance of Max Crosby not being a Raider by the end of this season?
I can't predict the future. I don't speak in absolutes, so I don't know.
All right, good stuff there, Kev.
Yeah.
A lot of hard-hitting questions. Mariah, what's your initial reaction to seeing that?
I mean, I think a lot of it was what we expected, right? I don't think there were many surprises. And again, I think, of course, the biggest cliffhanger he leaves us on at the end is, will Max Crosby be here by the end of this season? And he's not giving out a definite answer, of course. Why would he? But I think that's kind of a little bit of a reality check, right, for Raider Nation. We all got so hyped that Max Crosby's sticking around. But it's the conversation we've been having since March, since the deal fell through. Will he actually be here and be a Raider for life? He's going in with that mentality, as he should, but you never know. That's what jumped out to me, but everything else sounded kind of status quo from what we've been gearing up for.
Here's the thing. I think John Spytek is a tremendous general manager. He's done a lot of great things in his short term with the team. Of course, he comes from scouting with the Tampa Bay Bucks, a team that has done such a good job with their scouting department, their drafting. To me, when I think about, the Raiders of years past with GM Mike Mayock and even, Telesco, who drafted Bowers, but prior to Telesco, Mayock, they would miss on a lot of picks because of, poor scouting, poor decision-making in draft time. And then I think they would overreact with some signings. The Christian Wilkins signing was a major disaster, given $100 million to a defensive tackle who never really worked out. So I think, to me right now, John Spytek is a guy who understands that to compete in the future, you have to do the right things right now. And that's what they're doing. They're building the right way. They're getting the right types of people in the program with Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, all the likes of guys who are on the same, they all share the same mentality. They all have the same vision. And I think that shared vision is going to lead them to success down the road. So I like what I heard from John Spytek. Yeah. And, I still thought the Max Crosby deal for those two first, that was some swift GM work. He did a great job, and the Ravens just screwed that up.
Yeah, Mike's still upset, clearly. We just talked about overreacting at the top of the show. Here we go already. And here's something we can overreact to as well. The first preseason game between the Raiders and the Cardinals. We've got a special coming for you on Thursday, right before kickoff. Raiders pregame live on Fox 5. The whole sports team getting involved and getting you set for kickoff.
All right, still to come on Silver State Sports Live. A's broadcaster Johnny Doskow, he's going to react to the news of GM David Forst and the ball club parting ways. We'll get his take after the break.
This week on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Your Triple SEN lineup is sponsored by AAA Roadside Assistance. Visit AAA today.
You're watching Silver State Sports Live.
All right, so the A's kicked off a brand new series at home last night.
Yeah, they took on first place Tampa Bay. And I don't know what it is about this team for their downward spiral in this back half of the season. They've been faring pretty well against top teams in the league. Did it result in a win? No, but there were still some bright spots. We're going to show you what happened. We'll start in the bottom of the first. Tyler Soderstrom, he doubles a sharp line drive to center. Jeff McNeil comes in to score.
Same inning, Sody this time steals home because look at that. A throwing error by the catcher, Nick Fortes, trying to catch the runner, head in the second, 2-1 A's.
Heading to the bottom of the fifth now, Zach Geloff. His first game back from injury, he launches it. A 456-foot blast to left center, the longest home run of his career. Welcome back, Zach Geloff, 3-1 A's.
Bottom of the seventh now, let's talk Geloff again. This time, he doubles. Henry Bolte scores. Boom, weird bounce, 4-2 A's.
See, things were going well. Later in the inning, Jacob Wilson, another game, no error, but he also adds a double. And Geloff, we're just never going to stop saying his name. He comes in to score 6-2 A's.
But then the meltdown comes. Top of the eighth, the Rays drop 8 runs on the A's. It all starts with that blast from Junior Caminero. His 34th on the season. The Rays top the A's 10-6. And the Rays, they get their 7th straight win. All right, so earlier today I chatted with A's broadcaster Johnny Doskow. He gave his take on the GM David Force situation, plus the surrounding excitement with recent milestones in the dugout. All right, we're joined right now by one of our favorites, Johnny Doskow, A's broadcaster. Johnny, good to see you. Let's start with some of the unfortunate news. David Force and the A's parting ways, a guy who's been there for 27 years, been a part of the Moneyball era, was an assistant GM for 12 years, now a GM for 11. What was your read on the situation there?
Well, look, I go back with David 2001 when I was broadcasting with the River Cats in AAA, and it's just such a great human. He did such a great job through the years with the A's. He's kind of a legend in the business, and it's tough to hear the news. At the same time, for David, I'm sure he will land on his feet. He is a very bright guy. As I said, quality human. But, look, I go back with him such a long ways, and he was so good to me through the years. I wish him obviously nothing but the best, but, the A's thought it was time for a new era, and Feinstein's going to be the interim general manager right now. So, yeah, it was, you hear the news. It's a little shocking after he's been there almost 3 decades, but it's part of this business sometimes. It's the tough part of this business. But I promise you this, I don't think you've heard the last from David Force. I think he's going to land somewhere and be a great contributor to whatever he does.
Yeah, a great baseball mind, a guy who played at Harvard and really did a great job drafting, developing talent. But, of course, this is a team right now stricken with so many injuries. But let's focus on the positive. Jacob Wilson. I mean, we all saw what this kid could do last season as a rookie, but now playing shortstop, setting a new record for the most consecutive games, 111 without an error, a new MLB record. Tell us, we spoke so much last season about Jacob Wilson and his plate discipline and the way he can hit, but let's talk about his fielding and this momentous record.
Yeah, I talked to him about it yesterday. I had him on the pregame show, which will air today. And I said, were there times, when you got to the big leagues that you had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder as far as your defense? Everybody talks about your bat to ball, so great at going the other way, prolific hitter, great bat to ball guy, and 300 hitter probably throughout his whole career. Did that kind of motivate you? He said, absolutely. He goes, people weren't talking about my defense. I knew I could play defense. He has a very underrated arm. To think about going 111, 112 straight games without making an error at shortstop, right? And no, certainly didn't have the amount of chances that Mike Bordick had, but it's a different time. More strikeouts, more balls hit in the air. So it's just a different time for infielders as far as ground balls, but still, I mean, not just one flip over to the third baseman that hits the runner and goes out for an error, not a bad throw to Kurtz that gets away. It's just, if you think about it, it's unfathomable to grasp the fact that he went that many consecutive games without an error as a shortstop. People, I think, kind of take that for granted a little bit. And look, he's been tremendous. I think he's been underrated the whole time as a shortstop. People gave him a hard time about that second step. He's improved on that. I marvel at that record, and I think it needs more attention nationally than it's getting, because to think about going that long without making an error, and he just goes about his business. He doesn't even think about it. I asked him. He said, "I just do my job. I don't think about how many consecutive games I've gone without making an error." He's tremendous and fun to watch on a daily basis too. And also, he's made some great plays too, great plays to his right, to his left, off balance throw, the Jeter leap throw he's made, right? So he's been a highlight reel at times as well, but so consistent. And when the ball's hit to him, he's going to make the play. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's so exciting for a kid who's still in the early parts of his career. But let's shift to a guy who's more of a veteran in Jeff McNeil. He also had a big milestone, reaching the 1,000 hit club. Tell us a little bit about Jeff McNeil, that milestone, and what it's been like having him in the dugout and the part of the ball club this year.
Just a great veteran presence. I talk about Jacob Wilson. I asked Jacob Wilson about Jeff McNeil, and he said, look, he has taught me so much about the game, the ins and outs of playing middle infield, where to be, what to do, situations, opposing players. But if you think about getting drafted, right, how hard it is to get drafted. So few people ever get drafted out of high school or college to play baseball. Then you have to go through the minor leagues. You have to get through low A and high A and double A and triple A, get to the big leagues. And then you get to the big leagues. Then you have some success at the big league level. Then there's another level where you have 1,000 hits in the big leagues. Think about that. There's so few guys who've ever had 1,000 hits in the big leagues. I think 24,000 have ever played in the big leagues. Very few have gotten to 1,000 hits. It's a great accomplishment. This guy's won a batting title. He's such a enjoyable hitter to watch because he can be a bad ball hitter. He can wear out a pitcher with a 12, 14 pitch at bat. He can take the pitch down the line. He can go the other way. He gets hits in so many different ways. I don't know if I've ever seen a hitter get a hit in that many different ways. So I think he's just a lesson for hitter. He's a hitter. He is a hitter, and he went through a phase earlier this year where he struggled a little bit, but he got out of it. You knew he would. This guy is just a prolific hitter, fun to watch, and I think young players could do themselves some good from watching him at the plate and the way he approaches hitting.
Yeah, it's sometimes overlooked, just having that veteran presence and what that means to have somebody in your orbit, just taking things by osmosis. It's a great thing for these young guys. So, Johnny Doskow, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it as always, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, always great to be with you. Thank you.
Well done, Michael. All right, after the break, we're previewing the Aces and the Mystics. That's going down tonight, plus a closer look inside the Meta Apex. Stick around.
All right, so it was a rough weekend for the Aces, but according to our guy, Willie G. Ramirez, it's because they were celebrating birthdays, which I guess that's a valid excuse if you're a professional athlete.
No, I think so. It's Leo season. If you don't properly celebrate a Leo, you're going to feel the wrath. So I understand. My grandma's a Leo, so I get it. So maybe take the L, because they got a fresh opportunity to get right back on track.
Very true.
The Aces back at the house tonight, looking to handle business against the Washington Mystics, who are red hot, winning 8 of their last 10 games. Las Vegas enters the matchup trying to build some momentum, coming off back-to-back losses over the weekend as the regular season hits the home stretch. But for the Aces, it starts with setting the tone early, pushing the pace, taking care of the basketball, and letting their defense really fuel their offense in transition. Washington will look to play spoiler with the focus on postseason seeding. It's a 7 p.m. tip-off at Michelob Ultra Arena.
All right, shifting to the Runnin' Rebels, we now know the road ahead for the Runnin' Rebels. UNLV releasing its 2026-27 men's basketball schedule, giving Rebel fans the first look at the full slate, beginning with the season opener on November 3rd against Northern Arizona. The schedule features a mix of non-conference tests before the Rebels turn their attention to Mountain West play, opening the conference schedule on the road at Grand Canyon University. For UNLV, much like the football program, it's another chance to take a step forward and make some noise in the newly aligned conference.
And work continues at the Fertitta Football Complex. Today we heard from one of the leaders of the much maligned Rebel defense, safety Jake Pope, returning to UNLV after transferring in from Georgia. He spoke where the defense is at as they look to rebound in 2026 and his role as a leader in making sure that happens.
Each day there's a standard, and the standard is to get 1% better every day. I always tell the guys, find one thing each day to get better at and focus on that. And you'll keep improving each and every day, especially with the young guys that come in. They got to learn how this college football stuff works, and you'll get left behind if you're not working hard. And so I just try to get those guys elevated to the ones, to the captains, the starters. If everyone can work that way, then we'll be a great group.
Rebels' first game is week 0 against Memphis.
All right, so the UFC Apex is not what it once was. Meta has entered the chat, and what was once a simple building for mixed martial arts training has evolved into a campus primed for hospitality and beyond.
So many incredible moments have happened at the Apex. This building literally transformed an entire sport.
For years, the Apex has been where UFC fighters come to throw hands. Now it's getting ready to throw a much bigger party.
The evolution of it has been interesting because it's not what it was intended to be. Take the risk at the time that we took to buy this building and start to renovate it. All couldn't have worked out any better. COVID changed everything, and here we are with a new arena in Las Vegas.
Let's start with the space. The event floor has grown more than 20% from 12,000 to 14,500 square feet. And remember those early fight nights with only about 175 people inside? Now they can pack in nearly 1,200 people, which was a priority for Dana White.
More seating. I mean, it's all about getting more seating. Obviously, the concessions and all the other things are great. Everything here is beautiful and incredible now, but for me, it's all about more seating.
The newly revamped Meta Apex is bigger, brighter, and built to be much more than just a fight venue.
More than the expansion of the Apex, we're going to do a master plan here, and there's going to be, it's going to be our own little city here is what we're going to end up with. Hotels and, much more.
And of course, we can't ignore the word that now comes before Apex, Meta. Dana White partnering with Mark Zuckerberg to apply the latest technological advancements to the space.
I'm always supposed to be looking for new ways to find young up-and-coming talent, figure out how to make sure that the live event is better every time and the television event is better every time we do it. So, that's really what I do. That's my focus every day.
The Octagon isn't going anywhere, but the vision for the Apex is clearly getting much bigger than 8 sides.
Our competition right now is NFL and NBA and Major League Baseball, and we're one of the big boys now. They have their own arenas, and that's where we're headed. We're competing with those guys.
All right, great stuff, MJ. Coming up, we're sticking with the UFC because Mariah is headlining the main event on the upcoming card. And if you don't believe me, just stick around because we got proof. All right, so you just saw, we showed you the new and improved Meta Apex that UFC is going to be operating out of.
Yeah, but we didn't show you the new technology they've implemented to make fans feel like they're a part of the experience and feel like a true fighter. So here's my fight card. It's me and Amanda Nunes. Yep.
Look at you with the gun.
I know, I'm jacked. It's amazing. The accuracy is scary.
That is impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Where's mine?
You're not good enough.